Guys ready?
Yes.
You need to start putting stuff in because like it's giving me agita. As long as it's in, I don't care if it's on the table. It's just like getting it in. Trudging through. Yeah. I can move it. I can take myself down. And then some of it, like those are already in. Right. So it's a cluster. But it is in order.
Come to order. Let's now back in session.
Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Happy it's not Monday to you. Mr. Williams, good morning. Are you ready to bring in the jury?
State's ready.
Mr. Williams, are you ready for us to bring in the jury, sir? Not yet. Deputy, can you get Mr. Williams a mic, please? Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning.
So I understand from your attorneys who came to the bench that you want to tell me something.
Yeah, I have a.
Okay, wait a second. Before you do that, just remember that everything you say is being recorded, and anything you say, the state can use against you as evidence to prove the elements of the charged crime. Do you understand that, sir?
Okay.
Okay. Do you still want to tell me something?
Yeah.
What do you want to tell me?
Okay. So I have a rare medical condition that's I have a sensitivity to electromagnetic frequencies, and I've been asking them for months to move me away from the guard station, put me in cell 7 far away from the guard station because it has Wi-Fi electromagnetic frequencies. And I filled out nurse requests, and I also filled out the grievance form, but they didn't sign it, and they never replied to me. And also these criminal organizations that set me up for this crime, they may try to move me to Belgrade. They also work in jails all over the United States. And so the main thing, I just want to be moved to cell 7 away from the guard's desk because I have a sensitivity to electromagnetic frequencies. And I asked them to get me clothing for it, and they wouldn't do it. And the nurses ignored me because they also are part of the criminal organization that set me up for this crime because I'm a target individual and I'm a victim of gang stalking. But the main thing is I just wanted to be moved to cell 7 away from the guard desk because I have a sensitivity to electromagnetic frequencies. So I need to be moved away from the guard desk so I'd be away from the electricity. That's all I wanted. I don't know, could you help me or not, but I need help because the people in the jail are ignoring me because they're part of criminal organizations. And they also could change the camera footage too because they work in the camera footage. They can also change the camera footage and cover up their crimes. But the main thing is I just want to be moved away from the guard desk to cell 7 so I won't be around the electromagnetic frequencies that come from the Wi-Fi and the computers. And I asked them for the EMF clothing, and they ignored me. I don't know if you can help or not, but I just need some help, so I just asked somebody.
I appreciate you telling me that, sir. We don't really need to discuss that right now because today you're going to be here with me all day, and you're not going to get transported back until this afternoon. Okay. So if it's okay with you, we'll just address it later on in the day after we take some evidence and testimony. Is that okay with you, sir?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for us to bring in the jury, sir?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're entering.
Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend. Happy it's not Monday to you. A little sound probably worse than I am. It was a rough weekend, but we're going to continue on with the trial. State, please call your next witness.
State calls Jennifer Brashear.
Ma'am, once you're comfortably seated, pull the mic close to you, say your first and last name, and spell both names for me, please.
Jennifer Brashear, Jenniffer, Brashear, Brashear.
Ms. Walensky, do you wish to inquire?
I do, thank you.
Please proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you've already introduced yourself. Where do you work?
City of Palm Beach Gardens Police Department.
And what do you do for the City of Palm Beach Gardens Police Department?
I am a crime analyst.
Okay, how long have you been doing that job?
1 year.
Before you were a crime analyst, did you have any other positions with the Palm Beach Gardens Police Department?
Yes, I was a sworn police officer and detective.
Okay, why did you switch from being a sworn police officer and detective to a crime analyst?
I retired in 2022 from law enforcement and was rehired, offered a position back last year.
Okay. So before you retire, let's talk about your time before you retired. You said you were a sworn law enforcement officer and a detective. How long were you a sworn law enforcement officer before you retired?
I retired 20 years,
Okay. And how long were you a detective?
16 of those years.
What does it mean to be, well, what's the difference between a detective and just a police officer that is on the road? What's the
A
difference?
road patrol officer responds from call to call or maybe does some proactive policing, looking, patrolling neighborhoods and plazas. A detective carries a caseload of assigned cases of things that have occurred and needed further investigation that the road patrol did not have time or the means to continue investigating.
In Palm Beach Gardens, are there specialized units within all the detectives, or are they all assigned to all kinds of crimes?
They're assigned to all kinds. It's called general assignment.
Okay. Were you also a general assignment detective?
I was.
Did you specialize in any specific kind of crimes, or did you take everything kind of on a rotation?
So for my last 10 years, I only focused on person crimes.
What does that mean, person crimes?
So a crime that was committed against a person. So it could be a missing person. It could be a computer crime against a child, a sexual battery. It could be death investigations. So normally I worked crimes against persons.
Okay. Back in 2021, is that the job that you were doing?
Yes.
So were you the lead detective in the Ryan Rogers investigation?
Yes.
When did you first get notified of this investigation?
On my way into work on the 16th, I read a notification that we had a missing juvenile.
Okay. And when we were talking about the difference between road patrol versus a detective, the missing persons investigation, that started the night before, right?
Yes.
So would that be something that road patrol was handling at that point?
Yes.
So you get notified that this is happening on your way into work. Are you immediately assigned to this investigation?
No, I arrived before my sergeants that day, and I do not recall seeing them before I got to work. So I was not assigned to the case.
Okay, did you start working on it?
Yes.
What did you do when you first got to work that day to start working on it?
So it's normal for me to take any missing person case. So if a missing child, a missing adult comes up, normally it's going to end up in front of me on my desk. So that particular morning, I noticed that we had a missing juvenile. I started using my resources and looking at reports, past incidents, looking for anything I could learn about the child that was missing.
Okay, when you say reports, are you looking at, what first responders have reported up until the point that you're getting involved?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, while you're sitting at your desk doing this kind of preliminary work, did you learn that potentially the child was found?
Yes.
At what point in your preliminary work were you at when you learned that there was a person found?
I was to the point where I was packed up and ready to walk out of my office to start heading towards that area when I learned that they had found a body.
Okay. And when you say go out to that area, participate in the search and see what you could do?
Yes.
Okay. So now it's November 16th, 2021, right?
Yes.
Okay. So where now you've learned there's a body found. Where did you go?
To the area of Central Boulevard and I-95 overpass.
Okay. So to the scene?
Yes.
When you got to the scene, approximately what time did you get to the scene?
I would say about 9:15.
Okay. Shortly after the body was found?
Yes, about 15 minutes.
By the time that you got there, was the crime scene already roped off?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about this area. You said I-95 and Central Boulevard. We've heard some testimony about what that area looks like and what kind of area it is, but how close to the top of the overpass was the scene?
It was pretty close to the top of the overpass. I would say within 200 feet.
From the sidewalk, could you see the body or any of the kind of wooded crime scene?
No.
So did you immediately go in and start looking at that area? What are you doing when you first get to the scene?
When I first got there, I looked from afar, did not go into the crime scene. We waited for the crime scene investigators to arrive on scene.
Is there a process or a procedure that the police department follows to make sure nobody goes in the crime scene before crime scene investigators get there?
Yes.
And how does that work? Who's in charge of that? How does that work?
So when Road Patrol responds to that area, they are there to see if there's still life. It's on them to determine, do we need to get medical attention? Do we need to call fire rescue? Can we help this person? So Road Patrol would have determined that when they first got on scene. Once they determined that the person was deceased, we back away and we preserve that area because we want it photographed and we want to see what do we need to know about this scene before we disturb anything.
Okay. At some point, did you have an opportunity to kind of walk down into the area where the bicycle and the body was?
Yes, I did.
Judge, I believe without objection, the state's going to move into evidence State's Exhibit 32.
Any objection? Exhibit 32 admitted without objection.
Permission to publish?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you see that from where you are?
I can.
Okay. This area with the cones here, is this kind of the walk if you were standing on the sidewalk and you kind of went into the kind of brush area to get to where the bicycle and the body was?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to talk about what that walk looks like. If somebody were to, when you started at the side, not somebody, when you were there and you start at the sidewalk and you go into the brush, is that a flat walk?
No.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury what it's like to walk from the sidewalk into the brush where the body was?
So when you're standing on the sidewalk and you want to walk down in there, you can't see what you're entering. There's brush, there's thorn bushes and trees. So when you get to about that cone that's there in the grass, once you start stepping, you have to like really step so you don't lose your balance and fall. If you were to take a ball and put it at that cone, it would roll quite a way, unless of course it bumped into a tree or a brush. So you have to step. It's steep. And to climb out, you have to I had to hold on to a tree. You know, you're stepping to be able to get in and out of that area.
Okay. You mentioned bushes, thorn bushes. When you got into that area, was there any like immediate pathway for you to walk?
No.
So how were you able to kind of get through that area?
When you were looking at the scene from the top to the left, we were able to push some bushes out of the way with thorns on it so we could walk, because we were getting, when we first started, we had received scratch marks. And so we bent some bushes back to go around a tree and use a tree, kind of like a handlebar, to be able to walk down into that area.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's already in evidence. It states 16I. Now, you mentioned when we were looking at 32, kind of that steep kind of drop off, where if you started a ball at the top, it would roll down. When you got to where Ryan was, did it flatten out?
No.
Okay. So when we're looking here, does this photo in 16I sort of represent that continuous decline from the sidewalk down into the brush?
Yes.
Okay. Did it stay just as steep?
Yes.
When you finally were able to get in that area, once crime scene is there and you're looking at the scene, could you see if there was anything kind of keeping Ryan's body from continuously going kind of like with a ball, what you were describing down that decline?
Yes, there were trees.
Okay. So when you're at a scene like this with a death investigation, whose responsibility is the body?
The medical examiner's office.
Does law enforcement at any point touch the body?
Not after we determined he does not need medical help.
Okay, so the first responders would check for signs of life.
Yes.
But once that is determined that we're dealing with a deceased person and now it's a crime scene, does law enforcement touch the body again?
No.
Okay. So did somebody from the medical examiner's office come to the scene while you were there?
Yes.
Were you on scene from the point that 9:15, before crime scene even got there, all the way until the body was removed?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what that looks like. Well, before we get there. When you're at the scene, did you immediately know when you got there that you're dealing with a homicide?
No.
How does that change the way the scene is processed from a law enforcement perspective?
It doesn't.
Why not?
Because every death is treated as a homicide until we prove otherwise.
Okay. So just because you didn't know what you were dealing with, it didn't change what you did as law enforcement, what crime scene did, anything like that?
No, we processed that scene.
Okay. Were you there when the medical examiner investigator got there and was examining the body?
Yes.
Where did that occur?
When you showed that picture,
This one states 32?
yes, up on that concrete area, there was a tent put up, and we did it under that tent.
Okay. How did the medical examiner get Ryan's body from the brush area where he was found, you said up against kind of like a tree, to the sidewalk?
The medical examiner's office has a removal service. They're called Elite Removal, and they move the body when the medical investigator is ready. So I believe at the medical examiner's direction, they went down and put the body into a white body bag type of pouch from Ryan. So he was carried in a bag up to a flat surface on the sidewalk.
Okay, so anything that the body touched on its way out from the brush, was it covered by the body bag?
Yes.
The items that were collected from the scene. We heard about headphones. We heard about a bicycle. We heard about items that were collected. Were those already collected before the body was moved from the brush area to the sidewalk?
Yes.
What about gloves? Is everybody wearing gloves?
Yes.
Okay. Do they just wear one pair of gloves and kind of go through the scene the whole time?
No. You put on a pair of gloves while you're working with a particular area, and when you're done with that area, you take those gloves off. If you go to re-engage with something new, you put on another pair of gloves, and all day you're putting on and off gloves.
Okay. I know from a law enforcement perspective that's what happens, but does the medical examiner, investigator, the elite removal service, do they all follow that procedure as well?
Yes.
Is part of being the lead detective on a scene like this kind of supervising and making sure that everybody's following those procedures?
Yes.
At some point after the body is removed from the scene, did you learn of the medical examiner findings?
Yes.
What did you do when you found out that now you're dealing with something different than you originally thought? Where did you go?
I went to Ryan's body at the medical examiner's office.
Okay. Why was it important for you to actually go there and see it for yourself?
I needed to see the injuries, so I knew what I was looking for in my investigation.
Okay. After learning that this was a stabbing, did you and other members of law enforcement go back to the scene to try to locate a knife?
Yes, several of us.
Okay. When you are at the scene trying to locate a knife, are you in that general area where the body was found? Is that one of the places you looked?
We did. We looked there eventually.
Did you expand kind of the search for a knife outside of that general area where the body was found?
Yes.
How far?
We started in that general area from about 1,000 feet to the south. We walked that entire brushed area. We spanned out all the way up to I-95. I-95 stops the wooded area, so you can't go any further. There's a gate. And then we ended up looking further around some communities.
Okay. Did you find a knife?
No.
You mentioned that the brush and the thorns and kind of how you had to navigate when you were at the crime scene when Ryan was there. When you went back for this search, can you describe for the jury what it was like, navigating through this area?
Yes, we decided to wear jeans and tougher shoes and long sleeves because we were getting torn up by the brush and the thorns. So we wore different gear, not our assigned uniform, and we walked through the side of that ditch.
Okay, did it have that decline pretty much the whole time?
Yes.
Now, while you were going through there, could you see a path for walking?
No.
Once you now know what you're dealing with, or have an idea of what you're dealing with, did you start trying to obtain video surveillance in order to trace Ryan's movements on November 15th of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. How, when you're dealing with just you have a crime scene and that's really all you know, how do you go about deciding where to obtain surveillance from?
You can start with the area that you know about and span out, or you can look at cell phones and start trying to find out paths people took.
Okay. Did you work with the crime analyst? I know you said you're a crime analyst now, but did you start working with the crime analyst at the time that was working on the case to, learn about the cell phone, what was found in the cell phone, so you could kind of narrow down your search?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the areas that you obtain surveillance or detectives obtain surveillance. As the lead detective, do you work with a team?
Yes,
Why?
because there's so many things that need to be done. A lot of tasks have to get achieved in a quick manner. So a team of detectives and investigators and crime scene investigators come together and take different tasks so it can be done quickly.
As the lead detective, how are you keeping track of what everybody's doing and collecting if there's a lot happening in a short amount of time?
I have a task sheet that is kept in Excel and on paper that tells me what I need to get done, what person is chosen to go do that. And we have a morning meeting, we have afternoon meetings, and another meeting if we need it.
Okay. The surveillance that was collected by you and other detectives, did you watch every single minute of that surveillance?
Most of it.
Okay. When you say most of it, how did you decide what not to watch?
So as we narrowed down the path of Ryan and what we thought the suspect would have taken, we didn't know what we had right away. So we got some video that was just would have no reason to have anything in it. So another detective may watch it and say, hey, there was nothing in here. I took their word that they didn't see anything in there and it didn't have any relevance to my investigation.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the surveillance that you ended up collecting and where it was from. And when I say you, I mean law enforcement collected in this
Yes.
case. Was there surveillance that was collected from Cindy Rogers' residence?
Yes.
Okay. When you get surveillance or when law enforcement gets surveillance from somebody's residence, and for surveillance in general, is it important to know what times you're dealing with?
Yes.
Why is that important?
So you know what part of the video to look at to see if it corresponds of the last time of the incident that's been reported. So the time is important.
Okay, so specifically as it relates to the Rogers residence and that Arlo camera, what time were you looking at for the Rogers residence?
In the 6:30 p.m. to the 6:45 p.m. time frame.
Okay. So Judge, without objection, the state's going to enter into evidence State's Exhibit 51.
Any objection? No. Exhibit 51 admitted without objection?
Permission to publish.
Yes.
We have a little bit of glare here, but we're going to try to work with this. Do you recognize this map?
Yes.
Okay. This red spot right here, would that be the location of the Rogers residence?
Yes.
Okay. So when you are looking at surveillance video, and it's in evidence and we'll have an opportunity to review it, but when you're looking at surveillance video, is it important to know when you're looking at a subject what direction they're going?
Yes.
Why is that important?
To determine where you may get the next possible lead.
Okay. So where did you look after viewing the Rogers residence video from the 6:30 to 6:45 time period? Where was the next, what direction did you start to look for your next surveillance video to see if you could trace Ryan's path?
When he went out of the garage, it looked as if he went north. So we started focusing on the Alton community north.
Okay. Were you able to was law enforcement able to find video from the Alton community that supported that proposition?
Yes.
Where was that video located?
In the Alton community?
I'm going to have you say where the video is and then we'll talk about it. So what was it called? What was that area called?
It's Alton, the Faulkner Bridge.
Okay. So, Judge, can I have her step down to identify that location on the map?
Yes. need one
Thank
too.
you.
Deputy, is there a second mic?
Where is the Faulkner Bridge?
I believe it's right here. The Faulkner Bridge is up this way.
Okay, and that bridge has cameras?
Yes.
Was law enforcement able to collect video footage following the time of the Rogers residence video from the Faulkner Bridge?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, state moves into evidence, states Exhibit 33, the video from the Alton Faulkner Bridge.
Any objection? Yes, Judge. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some work to do outside of your presence. What we'll do is take an early lunch break. We'll ask you to come back at 1:30. Enjoy your lunch break, but no texting, tweeting, blogging, emailing, sending or accepting messages, communications of any kind about this case or your jury service. Enjoy your lunch break. No reading newspapers, watching social media, all of that. Thank You may be seated. Before we break for lunch, Ms. Wilson, is there anything else to? ad-
I know the witness is still technically on the stand. However, I know
Ms. Walensky, in order to view these videos for the authentication, my concern is, I believe this is what the defense is also has not yet articulated, but any discussion about the testimony.
So I asked Ms. Wilson if she would stay so that she could be here while I show her the videos, because all it was going to be is me showing her the videos, having her sign and date them that she saw them, and identified them, and then that would be it, and then she'd take her lunch break, we'd take ours. So
Any issues with that? All right, so I'll step off the bench to allow you to do all of that, and then we'll reconvene at 1:30. Thank you.
Okay.
You don't need the clerk, right, Ms. Walensky?
no, I don't think it needs to be on the record.
No, for the clerk. For the exhibits. No, I don't think, she hasn't introduced the exhibits yet, right? What she's,
What I have put in, we can give to the clerk.
okay, so what you're going to view is not something that the clerk needs to be here for because it has not yet been admitted. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, you're free.
So what we're gonna do is we're going to, with the defense here, I'm gonna show you each one. If you can identify it and have you sign and date the envelope, so that way we can go through that process. Okay, so we're just gonna do, that's why we took a longer break, so we can do that.
Where do you want me?
Yes. And this. And this is in too. Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. Are you good with me starting? Okay. So, exit out of here.
Do I just initials?
Initial and date. I just gotta keep these in order, so it's gonna take me a second.
I'm in no hurry.
Oh, shoot. Can you get me 23? I'm gonna show her 23. Oh, you have it? Yep. That's fine. Those can go. I just need them, if she can keep them separate so we can